Hey guys, it's Lydia here. So a month ago, I got the idea to stretch 1 hour a day for 30 days. And the reason for this was because I had just come off of my September workout challenge where I did a ton of working out and I felt like I was kind of burnt out and I wanted just a challenge to not even be a challenge, just to be something relaxing like stretching. So I decided to stretch for 1 hour a day for 30 days, but things didn't go quite as I expected, which I will show you throughout this video. So I hope you enjoy and let's dive in. Okay, so I'm almost done stretching, and one thing I wanted to do is take some kind of like shots of like stretches that I'm probably going to be working on this whole entire time and seeing how like from day 1 versus day 30 how much I improve on those poses. So I'm going to be showing you just some basic ones like in the middle splits I haven't gotten. I'm going to be showing you different versions, just like different stretches, and see how much farther I can get down in them once I'm done with this challenge. Alright, so the first stretch is, I don't know exactly what this is called. I don't think it's a king pigeon, but it's something, it's where you like go up, I'm sorry this angle, don't have my tripod, but it's where you're in a pigeon and you pull your leg over your head. So I can do it consistently on one side. It'll just be interesting to see how much better I can get at the pose. Side one, I don't know if I've ever been able to do it, so we will see. No, that was a fail. Alrighty, next up, middle splits. Just how far down I am in my middle splits. So I'm hoping to get all the way down. What else? And then there's a bunch of other stretches I'm sure, but I would say the only one that I'm really working at would be like a bridge, so some sort of bridge. I'm going to do just a teardrop and then maybe a chair. I'll show those two, and hopefully I'll make some progress by the end of this. So first let's do a teardrop. Teardrop, it's not even a teardrop, just then let's do a chair. Alright. Whew. Okay, so those were all the stretches that I'm hoping to improve on by the end of this challenge. So for day 2, I actually followed along to a couple like 30-minute stretching routines. I will link below the stretching routines that I did throughout this video, but the stretching routines like saved me because without them I feel like I might have gotten lost and didn't know what to do. But the fact that I had like actual stretching routines to follow made it really helpful. And so I went back and forth throughout this video. Some days I would do mostly stretching routines, and other days I would just kind of do a stretch that I feel like I needed. So by the first couple days, I got into a really good routine about how to stretch for an hour every day because, you know, like stretching an hour every day sounds really daunting, but after a few days I actually got into a good routine. I would split it up between like 3 to 5 sessions throughout the day. So I would do something in the morning every day. Every now and then I would do it right before the workout, and then I'd always do a quick stretch after the workout. Sometimes it would be 10 minutes, but normally it would be something like 30 minutes. I love that time just to spend a long time after the workout and stretch. And then at the end of the day was whatever time that I didn't get in throughout the day, I would just finish it at the end of the day, and it worked really well. Okay, so I've been stretching for like a half hour after my workout, and so I wanted to quickly give a little update, I guess, on those stretches that I tried. I think there was 4, the middle splits, the pigeon pose, and the 2 bridges. I think those are the only ones. Let's start with the middle splits. See how far down I can go. I don't know. Alright. And then let's do the king pigeon. Shoulders are really sore, so they're a little bit tight. Let's see if we can do the other side. I'm not sure if we can though. Next week. Alrighty, and then the last 2 stretches in a bridge. That was week 1. Let's move on to week 2. So even though there were a lot of things about this stretching routine challenge that I didn't love, one of my favorite things was that on days that I was super tight, especially days like right after a frisbee game or the day after a frisbee game, I could just take a long time and stretch and really just loosen up my muscles. It was so nice, and I really enjoyed just like forcing myself to stretch, even though like some days it was a little inconvenient. Days where I was actually really sore, it was so nice. One thing that saved me from boredom during this challenge that was kind of obvious, but something that I didn't really think of that much, but it was just to simply like watch a YouTube video when stretching, or even during a movie at night or whatever, just stretch. You don't really, I don't know, I felt like it's obvious, but I didn't do it enough, and I should have done it more. So a lot of times as this kept going on and I'd get like really bored, I would just turn on like a 15 or even like 30-minute YouTube video, and already all that time had gone by. It was really cool, and it worked super well, especially if you're like me and you get bored super easily. So about halfway through this challenge, I hurt my hamstring while I was doing a flexibility pose, and so that really limited me. And so after I hurt my hamstring, this stretching routine just went downhill, or the stretching challenge just went downhill. It wasn't fun anymore. Every time I do a stretch, it was really hard to figure out how to not hurt my hamstring, and it became something where I couldn't do any kind of straddle or middle splits. I obviously couldn't stretch that hamstring. It just became really annoying, and it kind of ruined the challenge for me. Hey y'all, so it is day 25, and over the weekend we had some kiddos over, some of my nieces and nephews, and I just couldn't stretch for an hour every day. I think I like got in like 15 minutes a day or something, like, because we went to Frisbee, obviously I like to stretch after that, but like I couldn't just stop my day and go stretch. And I think it's okay. Like, I just have to remember, it's like, I have a life. I don't have to like constantly be like, oh wait, I have to go stretch. It's like, it's okay. Just take some days off. But yeah, now I'm going to stretch and try to get back into the flow. I haven't stretched at all today, which is kind of dumb of me. And I just finished my workout, so let's stretch. At the very end, my hamstring got a little bit better where I could do some stretches, mostly like oriented on my calf. But yeah, it was still very limiting, and like I said, it didn't help that I hurt my hamstring, so this thing it wasn't fun anymore. One of the funny things about this challenge that I honestly didn't expect to happen was that I didn't really like get creative at all with the stretches, and I probably could have, but honestly, I just took some of my favorite stretches and just did them a bunch of times, like different lunges, pigeon pose, butterfly. Those are my favorites, so that's just all I did. And honestly, I expected to like be all creative and do a bunch of different stretches, but honestly, I just was really lazy and just did like the same basic 10 stretches, and it actually worked really well. Okay, so we're finally at the final day. You do not realize how happy I was this day because it was finally over. This day, I think we had people over earlier in the day, and I was just so sick of this challenge. I just got all the stretching done in one chunk of time. So I just did 2 30-minute stretches, and I was done, and I was just so happy. I love stretching, but this challenge was just exhausting. It was annoying, and I didn't like it by the end of it. Alrighty guys, so I have finally finished this challenge, and before I show you the before and after pictures of my flexibility, I want to give my last closing words on what I thought about this challenge, and like if you guys want to do it, and if you should, and what benefits it had, all the things. So here's what happened. First 2 weeks were really good. I really enjoyed it. It worked super well into my schedule. I made time for it and it worked. Then about 2 weeks in, 2.5 weeks in, I pulled my hamstring. So for the next week, I basically pretty much like half the stretches that I normally do were taken off the table. I couldn't practice my splits, my middle splits. Nothing to do with any like inner thigh or hamstring stretches, especially on this leg. It didn't work. So that was really annoying and totally messed up everything. So that was like 3 weeks in, and then the last week I was able to, I still can't stretch my hamstring, but I'm able to do some other things. I still can't practice my middle splits at all. So because of that, it kind of ruined the second half of the challenge for me. Feel like if I'd been able to stretch like I usually do, it would have been great, but I didn't. And it wasn't till like the last couple of days that I was actually able to do some of the poses that I haven't been able to do since I hurt my hamstring. So it's really annoying. So that is like the background. So like that really did ruin the challenge for me. However, I still liked this challenge, and here, let's just do a little list of pros and cons. Okay, pro number 1, I loved being able to take time and like, you know, a lot of times when I'm sore, I'll be like, oh yeah, well, I just have to push that away and I'll do it when I'm done with my workout. having to stretch an hour every day. I would stretch when I wake up, right before my workout, right after, in the evening, right before I go to bed. Like, there was a lot of stretching, and I really enjoyed that. And I did feel like it was nice to just be able to loosen my muscles. But the thing was, like, I didn't notice any, like, a ton of flexibility gained, or even, like, I didn't even feel like my muscles were less prone to being sore or anything. Like, I'd do a workout and I'd still be sore. So, you know, there's that. The cons, it's really time consuming. Whenever I would have a day that was just a little bit off, or we had people over, there was no way I could get an hour of stretching in. So, I think there was maybe 4 days in that month that I just couldn't make it to the hour mark, which I'm surprised I was able to do it for that long. Like, most of the days I was able to do it for a whole hour, but it was kind of annoying. And then there would be so many days where I get to the end of the day and I'd be like, I have 15 minutes left and I need to stretch, but it's really late, and so I just have to, like my sister sleeps in the same room as me, so she'd be sleeping, so I just have to be in the dark stretching for 15 minutes. I'd be dead tired. All I'd want to do is go to bed, but I'd have to get in my extra 15 minutes. And by like the last weeks, it just became this burden. Like, I have to stretch today, and like, I did this stretch already, and my muscles are feeling weird because sometimes, so there were some days I felt like when I stretch it felt good and it was good, but there were a lot of days that I could really feel like I'm overstretching, but I didn't really know what to do because it was like, closing thoughts. I would not recommend stretching an hour a day unless you're like an athlete and you work out a ton and you need that, you know, then you can do it. But like, if you're just doing it to be like, oh, I should stretch more, don't stretch an hour a day. I would say what I used to do before this was about 30 minutes a day. 10 to 30 minutes, and that works great. It's just, it's enough to like maintain flexibility and help with sore muscles and stretching out your muscles and mobility and all that good stuff. But there's no need to stretch an hour, and this has just been such an annoying situation that, like, yeah. And so it was a fun challenge, but no, I'm not gonna do this again. There might be days in the future that I might stretch an hour because I'm really sore or whatever, especially on days like when I did Frisbee or whatever. Like, I love coming back from a Frisbee game and doing like a long 30-minute stretch and maybe another 30-minute stretch in the evening. Like, I've done that before, but to do it every day and for it to be like I'm doing my normal, like, to stretch as long as I work out, that's just kind of weird. I don't know. So all in all, I'd say I wouldn't recommend doing this. It's not needed. If you're like a beginner and you want to gain flexibility, you do not need to do 60 minutes. But throughout this, one of the things that really helped me along was a lot of times I would go to stretch and I'd get 5 minutes in and I'd be so bored. I'd be like, what am I supposed to do next? And it was really annoying. So some of the best things that I'd recommend if you find yourself in the same situation, whether or not you're doing it 60 minutes a day, if you're even doing it 10 minutes a day and it's hard for you to think of a new stretch, number one, follow along to someone else's stretching routine. This one's really good because it just helps you. I don't know, I really enjoy doing that. So I will link below some of my stretching routines as well as some other people's stretching routines that I have done in this month that I really, really enjoyed. Some of my favorites were by MadFit and Anna McNulty, and then one of my favorites that I tried for the first time last night, and I wish I had tried it sooner throughout the month, was one by Sydney Cummings. She has a lot of 30-minute stretches, and those were perfect because I could do a 30-minute stretch in the morning and then a 30-minute stretch right after I worked out, and that was perfect. So that way I could just get my stretching done for the day off really fast with just 2 quick stretch sessions. So I really like those 3 gals' stretching routines. I know there's more people who do stretching routines. There's me. There's a bunch of others, but those are my 3 favorites. You should go check them out. I will link them below. Now let's hop into the before and after shots. One thing is that I can't do the middle splits because of my leg, so I'm going to be doing a different variation of the middle splits where my legs are bent. It's not going to be the same, but hopefully you can see. So anyways, let's go to that. So as we come to the end of this video, I just wanted to give my last final thoughts in that this idea of stretching for an hour a day isn't necessarily bad. I just don't think it's for me, and I don't think honestly most people need to do this. So no, I wouldn't recommend it, but it was fun, definitely to challenge myself. And as you can see through these shots, I didn't gain a ton of flexibility, but I honestly didn't mind. And so yeah, that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next Friday with another video. Bye!